Um, Ever wonder what would happen if the good guys weren't so good? Uh, for decades, police shows presented a pretty clear picture: brave officers upholding the law. Um, but what if those officers were different? In the early 2000s, a new show dared to ask that question, forever changing the landscape of cop dramas. Uh, uh, it all started with a scandal. The Rampart scandal rocked the LAPD, revealing widespread corruption. This real life event uh, became the inspiration for a groundbreaking series. Uh, it wasn't about solving crimes; it was about the cops committing them. Uh, um, the show was set in a fictional district of Los Angeles, a gritty neighborhood teeming with crime. Um, the story followed an experimental, um, uh, unit, a team of detectives operating far outside the bounds of the law. They were known as the Strike Team. This wasn't the case of a few bad apples. The Strike Team actively broke the laws they were sworn to enforce. They were involved in everything from extortion to violence, blurring the lines between law enforcement and criminal activity. This simple change, making the cops the bad guys, was revolutionary. Suddenly, viewers weren't rooting for justice. They were watching a descent into moral ambiguity that the first episode alone featured a shocking act of murder. Uh, it was a challenging watch, forcing audiences to confront uncomfortable truths. Yet the compelling characters, brilliantly portrayed by the cast, kept viewers hooked. And Walton Goggins, in particular, delivered a standout performance as Detective Shane Vendrell. Um, um, the show's protagonist, Vic Mackey, arrived on the scene alongside other iconic antiheroes like Tony Soprano and Omar Little. Um, and he has moral, you know, all of the systems of the perspective of the change, um, and additional systems that we have met very similar. Despite this, often gets overlooked in the conversation of television's greatest anti-hero dramas. Uh, Vic Mackey was a master of manipulation, capable of both ruthless violence and genuine affection. Uh, he had enough redeeming qualities, a fierce love for his children, to make viewers question their own judgment. It's a familiar tactic seen in characters like Walt White that draws audiences into the anti-hero's world. Michael Chiklis' portrayal of Vic was sort of like phenomenal. Uh, he didn't shy away from the character's darkness, but also managed to convey a sense of humanity. Vic was a man who would do anything to protect those he cared for, even if it meant crossing the line. Um, is a true gem of 21st century television, um, but it rarely receives the recognition it deserves. Um, it deserves to be mentioned alongside the likes of, and as a cornerstone of peak TV, uh, exploring. Speaking of bending the rules, Did you hear about the police officer who got a promotion for outstanding work? Turns out he was just really good at covering his tracks. Um, with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you welcome. See.